This conference will now be recorded.
There you go. All
She's
right.
a pro now.
Not kidding there. So, all right, so we're starting the meeting. Hopefully everybody's here today. That's fantastic. Our attending public, I assume we've got Karen Kaitowski? Christine Kaitowski, sorry.
That's okay.
And Sarah from
Tag County Land Bank.
Land Bank, Tag County Land Bank. For any public comments we have while we're here before we start the meeting? Okay. Moving on, we need to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Did everybody get a chance to take a look at them?
Yep. No typos.
No typos?
No typo.
Spelling error?
Can you confirm that these are them? These look like they might be draft notes for tonight's meeting. It's got tonight's date on it and the two applications we're going to be talking about. I didn't see any minutes otherwise.
No, they were
They were emailed earlier.
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
draft notes.
Then I'll go with whatever you
Yeah,
say.
so
Okay.
no, I've sent out the draft notes for this one, but. Okay, so if we're good with draft meeting minutes from last month, do I have a motion to accept? Thank you. Do I have a second?
Jeff, seconded.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
You'll abstain because you weren't here.
At the last meeting, there were not all of us, and Jeff and I took turns making the motion and second. So this is just a carry.
Either one.
Don't be silent tonight.
All right, passes, we approve. All right, so we're gonna move on to our first application, which is a review of 81 North Avenue. We had some questions about the window replacement that's going on in the front of the building, mainly that we're still missing the stained glass on those windows. We want to make sure, the original amended application that you had, the amended COA stated that you had to replace, or you had to repair the existing windows. But when they took them out, as you said, they literally crumbled into dust when they took them apart. So they moved forward and got new replacement windows. Can you tell us a bit about that? The replacement windows and.
Sure. Yeah, I had reached out. So I just started the land bank in November. So I'm coming to this project partway through.
Welcome.
Thank you. I reached out to SHPO at that point. I talked to Sarah McIver, explained the situation, because as soon as the contractor, that was the first thing we wanted to do. Was like, okay, what are we going to do with the stained glass windows? They were missing behind. Some of that plywood was up. Some of them weren't even there. And the ones that were, as soon as he went to take them out so that we could start some of the interior demolition work, they fell apart in his hands. So we still have them. They're in pieces in the basement. I asked him to retain them. So we reached out to Sarah McIver. She said she completely understood. At that point, I have not been provided the certificate of appropriateness from your organization. So I just went with what she said, that said, if you have to replace them, please replace them with something that's as similar to the mullion pattern as you could find. So our contractor, John Gordon from Clearview Door and Window, went around, got a couple quotes, asked a couple companies to look for something that similar pattern. And so the one we found was a Marvin window, and that was the one that we installed. And actually today, he started putting in color on one of the windows. I don't know if anybody drove past it. You can see it. So some of the color is back in there. It's not the original stained glass. We can't get that to stay in. So he's using a faux stained glass and putting it in from the inside. And then also a piece from the outside, since there'll be tenants in the two upstairs. We want to make sure there's something on the exterior that can't be removed. So we did it on both sides of it. So I believe one window right now has the color on the top of it. He has to do the rest of it.
Okay, does he have the original photographs that show the color pattern, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So he knows what he's
So you're mimicking.
Yes. Yep. We have all the original photographs.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm taking notes.
Yeah, no problem.
The pauses are, sorry.
Totally understand.
All right, any other questions? Answer. I know, I
Yep,
think you had a question about the.
definitely. So the challenge with this, thanks for being part of the county. We really appreciate that. The challenge with this project has been going on for a very long time. And there are drawings from 2024 that are not being followed and that are wrong. Sorry, this is what I do in my day job, so I'm an architect. But does the contractor have these drawings? Are they at least following something? Because right now the windows were put in illegally without us knowing about it, what's gonna happen next that we might not be about? We wanna help you out, not, be on the opposite side of.
Sure. So yes, the contractor has those drawings. There were a number of errors in them. I had reached out to Ann Hirsch. It was lacking dimensions. There were some issues with the exterior work that we had to work through with multiple water heaters being put in, and some of the tub work was going over top of the windows. So those things have been changed, but we have not changed anything else from the original drawings.
So the front top part of, that's a great photo. This roof will be new metal shingle panels. All the brickwork will be repaired, all the wood panels will be repaired. That's just coming right off the drawings here.
Yep.
Just concerned because so far it's been very lacking of what they do versus what they're supposed to do.
We can't do any of the facade work until NICEAG does their electrical work.
Okay, yeah, it's always held up by those folks.
And so last I heard from NICEAG, it's been escalated to their municipal relations coordinator. DOT will only allow them to do night work. And so they are waiting on approval from the higher ups at NICEAG to allow the NICEAG employees to do night work. And they have to coordinate it between our building and the firehouse next door.
And that's exactly what I was gonna say, the DRI money project to repair the roof is being held up by NICEAG also. And we are all like kind of disgusted with NICEAG.
Because we want to get that connection done.
And that has been a
Projects.
holdup since October.
Yes.
We have been ready to do that roof.
We were originally told that it would be done in April. That came and passed, so I've been nagging them pretty much every day, calling them, and it's the same thing. They're just waiting on approval. Once they can remove the electric from the front and reposition it, then we can get up there and safely do the work that we need to do on the higher part.
This has definitely been an issue for all of us.
For everybody in the village, all those wires that you see are not a good thing,
You know,
including the Tiger Trails building. Same challenge there. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
okay. So what we're doing with these guys, if you have enough information, is essentially an addendum to the existing addendum that was on the COA. Essentially to get rid of that, repair existing stained glass wood windows with new glass, repair existing wood line, and replace it with front feature windows may be replaced with windows of the same size, shape, and glass features. Stained glass must be added or replicated on replacement windows. So we're changing the line.
Yeah.
Any questions, comments? Yeah.
This is all we're looking at.
Well, no, we've got,
Yeah.
well, but for these guys, yes.
Yes.
All it is an
Yeah.
addendum to the addendum for the original, so that it cleans up the paperwork on the project, essentially.
Is there any issue with the COA expiring? I don't remember the date. I didn't.
The original, well, every time we do an addendum, it essentially,
ahead. Okay, so
moves
just
ahead. So it gives them another 2 years to work on it, so. All right. Are we ready to vote? We need a. Yeah. I don't think we need to find any facts because it's already existing. Let's do an addendum to the COA. Do I have a motion to addend the COA?
That way, it says draft.
Move to.
Oh, trade hands.
Addendum to the COA.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Look, we're getting different
It's
names
nice to
on the
have 5
minutes.
full people.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Or
So much. Thanks for
So
your
we'll reissue, yeah, we'll reissue a new one.
Okay.
And we'll print it out, I will print it out for you.
Awesome.
So when you need to submit your paperwork, you have one that's complete.
Is there anything else you guys need from me?
Keep us posted before
Yeah.
it happens.
I know they're working on the front facade right now. On the first
Working
floor.
on the first floor.
Yeah.
Trying to make it look like what the building used to look like.
Yeah. Yeah, I am really glad to see it happening. Yes, you've been here watching the building.
You're all welcome to come walk through once it's done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Thank you so much.
All right, good luck with
Thank
bedtime.
Thank you.
All right, highlight that. Done and saved. All right, our next thing on the agenda is our 30 Page Street. Christine Potowski here. And you're asking for a demolition of a garage. I can tell you, we rarely approve a demolition.
Okay, so the house is for sale. This is really a request of the potential buyer. There's a contingent sale on the house, and really what he's wanting is permission to take it down based on structural damage and based on the exorbitant cost it would be to repair it. Pictures were sent. I don't know if you all have the pictures.
We got the original pictures. I was hoping to get some more.
I believe you had pictures from the inspection. So
Right.
there would be like 3 pages of pictures.
They're the ones put up
I
on
did
the
not.
garage.
I do have a spare copy. I did make a spare copy. So we- Does anybody need a copy?
No, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So of biggest concern, actually, it would be number 4 of the pictures. They're kind of numbered by groups. And that is the frame. So it's hard to tell, but that very first picture on the top is there's 2 stories to the barn. So there's the main level, and there's a ladder. There's not stairs, but there is a ladder that goes up to the second level. The floor, that is the ceiling for the first, but the floor for the second that is what that first picture is. If you notice the big beams that run across the whole thing, the very first beam has rotted. So, and that is right where you enter the building. It's right in front of the door. So the structural soundness of it is in question, obviously. With that beam, it would have to be replaced. The estimate was sent also, I think, from Woodford Barn Repair, which actually is who the potential buyer had do the estimate for the repairs. I think that was also sent. Yes. Okay. Additionally, we got an estimate from, you may not have a copy of LCP Group. I think you guys have worked with them. Their estimate to remove the barn was lower than the estimate that the other individual Woodford Barn Repair had put in to remove it. So
Did they
this is
also
a lower
give you an estimate to repair it?
No, this was just for removal,
Oh, okay.
just for removal. Additionally, the upstairs is, I don't know how you would use the language to describe it, but it has metal wires that are attached and holding the building up
Right.
at this point. The big concern would be safety, obviously, also. And the other concern would be the fact that it's hard to tell, but if you look at picture number 1, all the way to the right, the way the property line lands, there is a structure that is next door. The neighbor's home it's hard to tell, but that is the building right there. It looks different. You can tell. You can't walk between the buildings. So if, structurally speaking, obviously what the buyer is concerned about is if, if that building were to start to collapse in any way, it would probably collapse into the property beside it, right? Doing damage to that property and falling into that yard, which there are children that live at that home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it does present a safety issue that the potential buyer is concerned with. And then again, to repair it, the cost is exorbitant. That's an estimate. You never know when you get into it what it will cost. So, yeah.
And it looks like there's also a hole in the roof.
There is. So unfortunately, there was a hole discovered in the roof. I'm not sure how long it was there. Didn't know it was there. It was during COVID. It took a long time to even find someone during COVID to try to repair it. We did find someone actually to repair it, but the repair did not, it didn't hold. I mean, the roof is still leaking. So, and then I co-own the property with my ex. there's a timeline of things, and once you become an X, it's very hard to communicate and cooperate together to get anything done, which is also partly why we're here. So, yeah.
So thank you for providing that estimate, 31,000 or whatever. I'm not surprised. That's what it would cost to build a new garage. So that, you get a new garage or you repair the one that you have. And so you own the property for quite a long time?
For, yes, approximately 11 years.
We are charged, here is local law 126. Did you take a look at that at all in the village code?
I looked through the website, it was
Reservation.
confusing, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, no, understood. Yeah, so we fall under local law 126. And 126-18 talks about what you're attempting to do right now, and there's a number of items that we're requesting for that to happen, including, did you go to apply for a building permit or a demolition permit to the?
Nope, we were told we had to have
or-
this before we could get I spoke to Mick about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that we had to do this first before we could even do that, was my understanding. Was
Well,
his
according to the law, it says the opposite.
Right.
File an application of demo,
But
Well,
that's,
that's
he
the
told
thing.
us, he told us we had to do
You have
this
to go
first,
through
the
the
building
so.
department, yeah.
Yeah, as soon as she files the application for demo, it comes to us, because they're in the historic district, kind of silent.
We get dinged when we don't follow the law, sorry, so we're just trying to go by the rules.
Is there a quote to fix it that I missed?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the 31?
That's
Yeah,
the 31.
And the 17, whatever is to tear it down?
That is, yep, there is, we do have a different quote to tear it down from LCP, which is, it was 12.2.
And that's lower than the 17?
Yeah.
And we didn't get a comparable for the fix?
No, not from them, no.
Demolition is always gonna be cheaper, always cheaper to tear something down.
Right, of course,
Of course. But yeah, like Jeff says, one of our charges is to try to preserve the properties, preserve the buildings that we have in the historic district and actually repair them instead of removing them. One of my biggest concerns right now with, is that you're asking us to remove a barn for a potential buyer.
Well, we're under kind of contract, it's just contingent upon getting this approval. We're under contract. If the new buyer, is my understanding, does intend to own or occupy the property.
Okay.
So, I mean, they just, I understand that this buyer's perspective, but we are under contract, it is contingent upon getting approval to remove the barn.
But I would think the demolition permit would be issued to the owners of the property, not the future owner. So even though you're doing your due diligence for them, I don't think they would issue a permit to somebody who hasn't put her property up.
Yeah.
And that's here for that, that's the details, whether you get the demolition permit or
Right.
the new owners.
The bottom line is he wants to know that it's possible before he purchases the property.
Well, one of our charges is the opposite. So it is possible to repair it because this property is a contributing structure in the historic district in the village of Owego. As such, you all are available for a number of grants and other things and opportunities because of your historic property. And so repairing this building would be one of those. We don't make that ultimate decision. That goes to the State Historic Preservation Office, who handles the residential tax credit projects. But it's a fairly straightforward application. Take photos of what you got, what are the repair, the estimates to do the repair, and they provide that for you. We all pay for those taxes, so it's important that we just let you know that there are things available rather than just making it disappear. One of the other options, I'm just looking at the local law 126. One of the other is that if we were to approve demolition or removal or replacement, we only can approve that in connection with whatever that replacement project is.
So there's no plans to replace. The plan is to remove.
So I don't know how, I'm just talking out loud, I don't know how would we document that? So in other words, the new property owners would never be able to build anything there. If that was the legal language, or they could potentially build a garage there, but it would be subject to new zoning code. and
Right.
talking
Right.
about
It
the
is
setbacks.
Subject to approval, obviously.
Right, it would be subject to new building codes if they ever built.
But it wouldn't have to be historic looking. It could just be
No, it would have to blend in with the
It still
neighborhood.
have-
It has to be, part of the wording is compatible with the neighborhood structures. So it doesn't have to be exactly historic, but it should look like it belongs. Should look like it belongs there.
No, we can only do it with approval of replacement project, is the law says.
Oh, so we can't approve it if it's going out and not being.
Well, I'm just going through a
No,
couple of
I'm-
the lists. There's a number of other steps and options. We're trying to make sure we can give you as much
I think we can.
information as
Like when we
possible.
attempted to demolish the building, the flood damaged building on the corner of Page and Main.
Right.
There was not any plans for the Tioga Land Bank hadn't bought it yet. There weren't any plans for rebuilding. It was just going to be vacant land when we approved that. That one got stopped by the state. So.
And just to back up on what Jeff was saying, the tax credit stuff for a barn, for carriage house is 25% what you spend. So it's a
pretty hefty one.
It's a lot. It's right up the top, it's real.
And there are also grants for barns. So whether this is a carriage house or a garage or a barn, there's some other opportunities. And the lady that runs that grant project lives here in Bennington, as a matter of fact. So, anyway, that's a little bit of information.
Yeah, so even if the new property owner bought it, there is potential funding available for him to repair it, for them to repair it, as well as tax credits available if they repair it.
So the funds would be grants, but there's no guarantee for the grant. You'd have
There
to
is no
apply.
guarantee grant. Yeah.
So the tax credit is a guarantee, is what you're telling me. The tax credit.
Pretty
is
much, if it's a
100%
guarantee,
guaranteed.
it's contributing structure.
No, there's been no problem with those.
Yeah.
So I mean,
We've done that for
25% of
years.
what you spend on the project, so they would get a quarter of the $30,000.
Right.
In 10 years.
In 10 years?
So over.
Maximum of $50,000 a year.
Tax credit.
Right.
Because there's I do a lot of work on my house. They pay you some back for years
Over
and
10 years.
Right.
And that goes to the residents too. So they bundle all that together.
Do you know what year the barn was built?
So when the property was purchased, everything that was on the paperwork said 1900, but Chris Knickerbocker was my neighbor at that time. I did live there for a while. And she said she was certain that it was before that just 1900 is sometimes the date that they put on things, and that she was quite certain it was before that. So I don't know if the barn was built when the house was built. I don't honestly know.
Yeah, I'm really struggling with taking down contributing structure. I agree, it's not in good shape. Driving down back to St. Patrick's parking lot, you can certainly see that, you can certainly see the sag, you can certainly see why the turnbuckles are holding up the structure. You can certainly see the sill on the north side is gone, and the entire structure is falling at least a foot, probably more, north, off the sill, off the foundation. So
Have you had code enforcement come out and take a look at it yet?
I mean, Mick was there and walked through the property just to get the certificate of occupancy. He didn't walk in the barn, hasn't gone in the barn. I mean, he can go. I mean, I'll open the door. I don't go in there because that beam is literally over the top of the door where you enter the barn. I won't go in it.
It's the center beam.
Yeah, the beam, the big, huge beam that's about, an inch and a half. I won't walk through the door, so.
Yeah, me as well. I would love to hear from Nick. That is like one of the other things I would love to hear from Nick is what's the
Definitely can meet him
condition.
there. I'm sure he'll walk through it.
Yeah, if you could ask him to come and
Mhm.
is it, give us a letter stating what structures, is it structurally sound? Is it in imminent danger of collapse? What's our timeline? Yeah, I can send him an email tomorrow. Easy.
would you be, as property owner, would you be all right with code enforcement looking in the barn
Yes.
and looking at the barn?
Yes. just that want him to know that to be cautious when he, goes in that door. It makes me nervous whenever anybody walks in that barn because of where that beam is. Sure.
It seemed like, I guess Phoebe was reaching out to you right as I was kind of.
Yeah,
Your
I
email.
did minutes and I was actually
We both
here
responded.
in here in COVID.
See, we were on the same page. Yeah, consistency, right? When I was appointed by Ed Harrington a long time ago, that's one of the things he had asked for. One of our other things that we do need to look at for demolition is we both reach out to you, we get a report from a licensed engineer or an architect about the building.
Yeah.
So Mick can look at it,
Yeah.
maybe if he condemns it, then you gotta pay out fine, fees or whatever and make it disappear. But he might ask for that too. So I don't know if you reach out to anybody.
Yeah, I
I'm tracking
spoke
that
to
down.
an individual about getting a structural inspection. I think the quote was about just under $1,000 to get that inspection. So it's not a small investment just to get that. So we wanted to
Right.
come
Well, it's
to
one of
the
those things
meeting
we
and-
require. Sorry, just going through the rules. Sorry.
It is. Oh, yes.
I just, I know something from the property on the corner of Main.
Page in Maine, yeah.
That demolished, we declared that demolished. Part of that whole process, and it would help, especially in a sales thing, is I also connected with SHPO, described the situation, and took Mick's report and shared that with them. And that would help in the long run if SHPO is, absolutely stubborn about you must save that. You at least have that to give to the owner,
To the
to
buyer.
give the prospective buyer that,
Yeah.
the state historic says no, and they're saying no, they're saying they're automatically, they're saying they're willing to pay 20 to 25% of the renovation of that barn, which could be a lot of money, but I think it may be in this situation with sales, a good idea to send the situation to SHPO with pictures and descriptions and maybe a report from Nick.
Yeah.
To say, this is a tough one, the thing is ready to fall down. How far do we go for historic preservation? Because, it would have to be basically rebuilt. It would be different.
He's a past
He's a
chair.
past-
Oh, okay.
Chair,
So-
used to be on the committee.
I do identify myself.
That's okay.
He was chair when we.
He didn't just
voted.
walk off the street.
Yeah.
Well, he probably did.
Thank you, Jim. I think that's
Yeah.
a great suggestion.
Mhm.
And that kind of would help answer some of the questions I have and some of the concerns I have. I would really like to hear from code enforcement.
Okay.
The structure of the building. And I, would like to hear as well from SHPO.
And you do have all the photos that she's referencing?
I do.
Okay.
But if you could send me more, that would be great, or I will ask Nick when he goes in.
Okay.
To take photos. That he can send as well.
And who will be in touch with SHPO?
Oh, that he did. I'll reach out to him. Probably send him an email tonight as well.
Do they have to meet? I mean, is this another?
Oh, the State Historic Preservation Office, it's usually just one person who's the liaison for our area.
Just trying to understand the timeline.
The timeline? Yeah, the timeline I understand may be a problem for the sale, because you
Oh,
have to
absolutely.
close these things within 30 days. If you're looking at a potential buyer with a contract.
I'm sorry, the timeline.
The previous applicant talked about reaching out to Sarah McIver. That's probably who we
Yeah.
would reach out to first. She knows the area, she knows us, she knows people. So I don't
And she's from the state.
think that would be pretty
Preservation?
quick. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with all the.
Yes.
They like this stuff. This
She's
is
away on
easy
vacation,
stuff,
yes.
right? It's least stressful. They provide great feedback for all of us.
And she's pretty responsive.
Okay.
She is.
And she would tell you upfront if it's gonna take a long time, so, I mean, they reserve the right to have 30 days, but most times they don't do that, they do it very quickly, but if she says, look, we're all going on vacation and you're not gonna hear from us, and if you explain the timeline issue to her, that.
Yeah. I will. Because you've had a contract in hand for how many days now? What is your timeline?
Probably like 6 weeks or so, or more.
6 weeks?
6 to 8 weeks.
Well, they had to do their inspections and decide what they were gonna do. Then they came to us with a proposal of what they would like. Then we had to proceed to do the application. We had to wait however many 10 days before we could get here. So that just adds up. Honestly, the contract right now stands, it's supposed to be closing at the end of June. So, we're gonna have to be negotiating extra time to do these things. That's why I asked how long, because I'd rather say, we need 30 days more than say we need a week and then have to ask again.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be upfront as much as possible with that.
All right. Currently, I don't feel like I could vote on this because I don't think I have quite enough information, as you suggested. Anybody else?
No, I'm with you.
I'll make a motion to table the application.
Yeah.
And would we be able to table it, but not necessarily until the next meeting? We've all got enough information pending mix, the request you had, right? Mix report and a report back from the State Historic Preservation Office.
So,
But if we table it till the next meeting, then we're gonna move past your deadline, so you're gonna have to ask for more time.
Or,
That's what it feels, we're doing
oh
electronically.
no, can we do it other than having to
Yeah,
table it
can
to
we
the
do it
next meeting?
electronically?
Could we do?
I thought we
both?
had to do
we
it.
can't do electronic.
So we would have to have a special meeting.
We'd have to have a
We've
special
done before too.
I'm fine with
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna be out of country, so see ya. Don't wanna.
Oh.
Don't wait for me.
So I would just like to
We
table
love
that
cookies.
pending a special meeting, if we get that information.
Pending a special meeting, what have we got on that? Yeah, I'm looking at the calendar over there.
Well, that,
July
but-
3rd.
Yeah, the next.
Are we meeting July
Our
3rd?
our next meeting
No.
is July 1st,
Oh, yeah,
the day before Independence Day, so I don't know how many of you will be here.
I'll be here.
OHPC would be July 3rd.
Right, but if we,
But if we did
if I get a
something,
response from Shippo and from Mick, like this week or next week.
Yeah, if you have something that's 26th, but if you did something like 6:30, you could still be here first, because that's like the fire company.
No.
there are other days of the week too.
There are. Great, yes, there are.
We don't have to do it on Thursday. It's
Just saying, All right.
All right, so yeah, I'm gonna see if we can, I'll email Nick, I'll email the SHPO office, see if we can get some more information.
Okay.
And get something a little more concrete, although thank you, I do appreciate the quotes as well. And get back to you here for some sort of special meeting mid-month. And what are?
If you wait till the end of June, I'm back.
But
then it'll mess up.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
we've used, Cookies used historic text cards, we've used historic text. We did 6 chimneys. It took us 7 years because it's just a lot. And they were great, and we have had really such good success. And they're really good at sometimes talking you through so that you understand things better too. So if that's a worry, if that's something that, they might think about if they knew there was tax credits and such in it, because you're gonna pay to pull it down.
Oh, yeah.
And if you take it down, it's not gonna be able to be ever built where it is again, because there's other laws now, so it would have to be 6 feet off the property.
Yeah, new code won't let it build right smack dab
Right,
next to the
because
building.
obviously it's
yeah.
not the easiest
No,
thing to
it's
do.
not.
So I mean, there is that, but the state has been wonderful about stuff. And I mean, we send these people pictures all the time. They love it.
All right, do I have a second for Smith's? Yeah, thank you.
We have a motion? I missed it.
You did.
Oh,
Yeah,
you said
motion.
table. All right, I'll second.
All right, all
Sorry,
in
vacation.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right, go beat the rain because it's gonna start soon.
It's gonna start soon.
Oh, it's gonna be horrible. I was just looking at the radar again. I was like, oh no.
So weird to see you.
Not this. It was, yeah, soon. I meant soon, really.
Purple.
Yeah, it's not good. So, yeah.
Not on my lawn again this week?
Thanks for your input.
Part of my second month.
All right, so we're skipping all of that. Find the effects, no, nothing else. Moving on to informal discussion to pass approved COA projects. I'm still waiting for Masco to do something on the building. Just prepare the bricks, please. But no.
I've been watching too, someone's been moving, you know how the wooden structure is around it? It's been moved a couple of times, and Dick and I are suspicious that someone's been going back there and sleeping.
Probably.
So when we see it moved, if he's with me, he like goes and checks just to make sure, because we really don't want somebody like out there, but we know that there's issues of people meandering around, so, and it definitely gets moved out once or twice a week. So, because we now know exactly where it's supposed to be, and we've seen it move out, so, just so you know.
Great.
I know. That's the problem when things are empty.
Yeah, people decide to live in them.
Well, and I also don't want someone in there because,
It's a dangerous building.
right, they've demoed it, but it's not like someplace we want to see someone get hurt.
Yeah.
You know? Goodness gracious, right?
No. All right, new business, we have Jim Overnizer, Jim and Julie.
Yeah.
We're back.
Yeah, you sent me
Yeah.
this text on like Tuesday about a Cindy B Try It. It's not a Cardi B new song, it's something else.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're back from the south for a while. But yeah, something came up with our house, and I thought, this is a good, like, education for you guys. So I'm actually the lead person. I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna be the movie trailer, and then Julie's gonna describe it, because she's the one that's dealing with all this, but some of the considerations, I guess to say, about historic houses, we have the financial hardship. I don't think we suffer necessarily financial hardship in our household, but there is a hardship that could be caused by changes with insurance laws, especially floodplains, where they're going right to the toothpick size characteristics of your house, or they'll insure them or not. So it's an insurance thing that Julie is here to tell you about. How about that?
Travelers said we're canceling your insurance policy as of July 1st, and no one else will write a policy for our house because we don't have railings on the front porch. And now that the house is elevated, it's higher than 36 inches, the skirt of the porch is 40 inches.
Oh.
So nobody will insure us.
All right, that's easy.
So, did you say that's easy?
It's an easy fix, right? You might not like it, but
Raise the ground?
well,
Or
that's
rails.
one option. Or
Actually,
put
that's what
railings.
Dick suggested.
Cable rails, or some other things.
And so I've gone to many insurance people, then I actually called the SHPO and talked to them, and I got the name of Chubb Insurance, they said, will insure high value and historic properties. I called this woman, she's like, how the hell did you get my phone number? But anyway, I'm waiting to hear from them. I was actually on the phone with I don't know if it's the actuary department or whatever department at Travelers, and the agents, they have 7 Travelers policies, it's 4 inches. And the person said, there is so much loss in the insurance industry between natural disasters and legal liability that there is zero wiggle room anymore.
Wow.
So we may be faced with finding some kind of solution to go from 40 inches to 36 inches. And we have to do it by July 1st. If I don't, because they may come back and say, well, now it's going to cost $10,000 to insure your house if you leave it the way it is, which is unacceptable, right? But I don't know. So, it's either nobody's going to insure it the way that it is, somebody's going to insure it and it's affordable in its current condition, or somebody's going to insure it and it's unaffordable in its current condition. And we're waiting, but we would happily discuss solutions should we have to change the front. One thing we kind of talked about is, could we possibly, it's easiest to grade up, we'd have to redo the whole front bed, but it's easier to grade up the front than the sides if we put a trellis. There was at one point in time a wisteria trellis. So on the west side, we could maybe put a trellis. on the east side, maybe try to have some plant climb so it doesn't look like, and then see if we can just bring up, dig out the whole front bed, add dirt and,
We're going through kind of considering the options, but I
or
think,
whatever other thoughts you have.
I
I
like the
thought-
idea of cabling personally, but.
I thought it might be an interesting thing for you folks to hear that our situation, if we came to you and said, we want to put railings up on our Greek revival between those pillars, the answer would be flat out no. And there's not a hardship in the law for us for this.
To not have insurance.
But the hardship is you have to have insurance. And we, our house, we have to have flood insurance. The next owner has to guarantee.
In perpetuity.
In perpetuity on our
Because
property.
of the grant.
So it's a level of discussion that I thought it might be interesting to you folks just to hear that
In a lot
that
of
situation can come into the stickiness of some of the approval.
A lot of the online forums, old house, online forums are discussing exactly this.
Yeah,
How insurance companies are dictating design now.
Yeah.
More than they ever did before, more than they ever did on a historic property.
right, and because originally it was only 2.5 steps off the ground.
Right.
So even by current insurance law or policy prior to the elevation, it wouldn't have needed the railing.
Right.
Not that we want the railing.
Could
You
you
know.
do like a acrylic panels in between,
No acrylic.
clear
That
glass
would be hard to
panels
keep clean.
or
Yeah.
something?
I have an idea of just temporary, like railings. It's an undefined thing with the railing, but just a bar that you could put in between the posts. And then if you wanted, have a removal capability for these things.
If the but would insurance call it a
railing.
mitigation if it's temporary? I don't know.
The code is 30 inches, so if you're greater than 30 inches, you have to
They
have a
told
railing.
me 36.
The insurance company,
Yeah.
they don't know what they're talking about.
So it's 30, okay, so I'm out Lake Trout more because the skirt of the porch is 40 inches.
And then if you bring in fill, floodplain,
There's no
Requirements.
compensatory storage in the code because the village took it out when they wanted to put the low
you don't have
income.
to remove that from somewhere else on your property.
There's no compensatory storage in the
Oh.
code. It has been removed.
Do you know how far out that has to be, Jeff? Like, if we did pull,
Yeah, how far out?
can we slope it from 0 up another 8 inches to get to 30 inches in
Because
court?
we
Or does
would
it have to
screw
go
up
out
the
like-
steps.
I could look at the code, I've never been asked that question.
Because we've got coming off all of those
Right.
steps and then the big stone slate.
Right.
And then we've got the other steps, so it's not like we can't mess, I mean, if you mess with that, now it's a huge thing.
The other thing I would say is, I would have an issue if you decided to put a railing in that connected to your beautiful columns.
I know, we don't wanna.
If it's freestanding, so it comes right up to the column and you have 4-inch clearance, you've gotta have maximum for your railings. If you built something that you said sat down into the porch, you could pull them off, but it's physically stable and it meets the height and width requirements. There's really no precedent for a horizontal, right? Because your building never had it. So it's not like you could look at old
Right.
photos and say, we're gonna recreate, you can copy from somewhere else. That's not who
They
you
couldn't
folks are.
attach cabling, like black cabling on the back of the.
And there are cable rail systems where it's posts that mount to the deck, stainless steel cable. If the posts are white or if they're black, you really don't see them.
Stick them right behind the columns.
But how are those historic? That's why I don't know if we're necessarily looking for solutions. I just thought it would be an interesting enough thing. to
Well,
talk
and
about.
ideas.
Well, you've got to find a
So
solution.
if they're hitting you
Yeah, so
folks, you know they're hitting all kinds of other people.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, the
All
house has
kinds of
been
other
up for
things.
10 years.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, it went through for a decade, elevated, but I think it's just, I mean, there's just too many damn hurricanes and tornadoes and
Yeah.
insurance companies are losing their shirt. And now they don't want somebody to sue me because they got drunk and fell off the porch.
Speaking about your friends that way.
This is just liability risk, right?
For the first time since we bought the house, we had a physical inspection. The insurance company came out and did a full inspection of every piece
piece of the house. He
Really?
asked a million questions. And I said, without being antagonistic, sort of like, so, will we get some sort of a report or something? And he was like, I don't know. So like, maybe he doesn't know, but I don't know. I just come and inspect. And now we got our flood insurance bill, and it went up, but it didn't go up relative to that. It just went up because it went up. But I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Do you know what your full risk rate policy is? Because you're on a glide path to full risk rate. So if you call your insurance agent, you may like not want to know, but they can tell you what your full risk rate policy premium will be, and you're going up 18% a year until you get there. That's what the government did when they got rid of the old flood insurance and put in risk rating 2.0, which is NFIP's black box.
Right. Well,
So
but that's the max then, right? That's the other thing. But if we're on a glide path-
it will tell you, like, they know now where you're gonna end, when that 18% is gonna stop.
But my comment was more about how can we keep building a house, right?
Yeah,
I owned another house for 30-something years. They never.
right, because now they're
Now
looking.
they're looking.
So I mean, I got the ruler out and I measured the height of the skirt. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to them because they're gonna send somebody out to look at the house.
Right,
It's
right.
like stupid to try to mislead them.
Yeah, right, they're gonna check.
Because they're gonna check,
And if they're
exactly.
gonna give you 36 inches, there you go, less fill.
That's less fill.
Yeah. If they give me
Then 30.
36 inches, then I need 4 inches of fill. And with that 4 inches of fill,
Or
then
mulch.
maybe we could fake it, like, or do something so that the stairs wouldn't have to. And I asked the insurance lady, how far out does the 36 inches have to go?
I'll look in the code tomorrow and see what I can see, but I don't remember ever.
Yeah. How
If
far
you
down
got height,
is the
not
terrace?
horizontal.
How deep is the terrace?
Yep.
It's probably 36 on the same grade as the stairs,
Yeah,
right?
you could do that.
But I mean, does
I
it
don't know
just
if
have
that's
to
the right
be
word.
36 or does it have to be 36 for like 2 feet before
Right,
it can
yeah.
go? That's kind of an important question when it comes to the front.
And here's a flip side to that. So if they're saying 36 inches, is the insurance company telling you you can break the law of New York State, which is 30?
The insurance company.
I don't think they know what they're talking about. And if you do 36 and Mick comes by and goes, 30 inches.
But on that, I think, don't we get historic variance?
They told me
It's historic variance.
When Itchy measured our porch back when we did the elevation, Itchy said, yeah, well, when he did it, no, he came up and he measured, and it was a 36-inch from the ground to the top of the porch. And at the time, it was 36 inches. We had settling the soil that was there.
Right. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that at all. The only way to vary from the code is to go to
He said he
Syracuse.
found
and get a-
historic variation, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
Itchy was pretty tough on us.
Oh, we're gonna look at that too.
So about a I mean, we do variances for other things where historic gets you all kinds of variances on floodplain requirements for pre-existing structures. For, pre-firm, if you have an old building, it's exempt from all kinds of floodplain regulation. So I don't know if old buildings get exempt from other types of code. I've only dealt with it with respect to floodplain.
Because the code's the law, to get a way to change that, you have to go to Syracuse and get a variance or a waiver.
state
To the
variance.
state, yeah.
Well, which is what we do for floodplain stuff, is you have to go through ZBA planning state, which we've actually done for 2 things. So,
Interesting to know, because right across the street, we're running into a challenge with that project. All right, we can digress, all right.
Yeah.
But I'll look into those couple things and see what I can.
yeah, I had asked, I was like, could you please get back to me by Thursday, because there's the meeting. But it's pretty disconcerting to think that you're not gonna have homeowners insurance in 3 weeks.
Okay, that was it. That was just a point of interest.
Wow.
Say if there's any sort of temporary railing you could stick up just to keep your homeowner's insurance, I'd be doing it.
Yeah, you gotta
Put
drill
a
into
picket
the,
fence, I would put a picket fence.
but then I'm either drilling in the columns, which I don't wanna do,
No,
or
that's why
drilling
go
into,
horizontal into
I'm
the deck.
drilling
You
into
won't see it,
mahogany
you can
deck.
catch it.
I know,
Yeah.
that's
I don't
Your
wanna
deck.
do that either, but,
There's structure down there to your deck, don't touch the column.
yeah, I don't wanna touch the column.
That's a good thing. There's nothing but rock in your future.
Oh, Lord.
All right, good.
Thanks, guys. Nice
Have,
seeing you.
have a nice trip.
Thanks, good seeing you again.
We're out of town tomorrow.
Have
See
to
ya.
come by for drinks on the porch.
All right.
Just make sure I don't fall off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit on the edge.
Talking about you. Can I also add one item?
Yes.
Very quickly. So, as you know, I came through here to get certificate of appropriateness for my elevation. Specifically, the design of the stairs to the side porch. Now that I'm not elevating, I have to do repairs. And I need those stairs. It's gonna be exactly what's from the elevation, except one less stair.
Is it a major redesign of the existing stairs?
There aren't any.
One less,
Oh, you don't.
one less tread and riser.
Side porch.
One
Side
less riser.
porch.
Okay.
It's the same as what was approved, except one less stair. Do you want me to come here with you?
I probably would,
Keep that.
especially since you're on the commission.
Yeah, I probably would, just, it'll be a formality.
All we can
A lot
see.
of
Looks like
people
somebody
like
could
copy
take a
and
shot.
paste.
They're gonna be
I will.
stone, right? They're gonna be stone, blue stone?
No, the side porch was gonna be wood.
I can't tell from this tiny little,
Yeah, I
The
was
side
front
porch is gonna
section
be
was
wood.
the side.
with a black wrought iron rail, it looks like.
I actually asked code, do I have to have a rail if it's really
It's gonna be like, what,
18
2
inches?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
They might get no insurance, but.
It's still,
But-
you still need a railing.
Because I have bad joints, I want a railing.
Yeah, I want a railing too.
I want a railing everywhere
Yeah.
now, I'm at that stage of my life.
We put the railing, we never had any railings going up to ours, and our insurance told us one year we had to, so that's why we have the pipe railing, because you just paint the same color support, it kind of disappears.
Yeah.
And it's really nice actually to have it
I want one.
as we age.
Okay, I will do an application for that. Visit.
You already have the images, the graphics and descriptions.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'll pull it out of the old application. Copy and paste, we'll just do it. All right.
Ciao.
Anything else? Updates? No? All right, well, meeting, oh, sorry.
Back to this, with today's date and all this, these are draft notes that
Those
you
are my
started?
Pre-drafts the minutes.
I pre-draft the minutes before I.
Gotcha, so.
So that's what I start with, that's what I'm literally sitting here.
It's a little
typing.
misleading because it says the 30 pages unanimously approved.
Yeah, they always say unanimously approved.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I disappeared this one. 'Cause I started looking at it like that.
Oh, that looks like the future.
No, I went,
Don't let it get out.
Don't let it get out, though.
I went past that barn and looked at it, and that would be sad in a way. I don't know what it's gonna be at the end, but
The barn.
yes.
It concerns me, the thing with contingent sale thing,
That's what concerns me.
like put money in escrow, like that should be between them.
You know what,
Yeah.
and
Buyers should
that's,
come here.
right,
I don't.
you've
think
done
it's
that, and
appropriate.
you did
Yes,
that well.
we escrowed our barn because it was falling down.
Yeah.
And then I called code and code said, who cares? I'm like, so what? I can't fix it. I didn't even know OHPC existed. He said, just wait for it to fall down. I'm like, wait, great, it does, thank you.
I struggle, I mean, she's owned this building for how long?
11 years.
11 years, so willful neglect.
It's been that's part of the problem with being
It's
a
not.
rental in the village.
Should not
She
be.
lived there for a while, because I
She
recognized,
did.
She said she did.
Oh, she did.
yeah, and then they rented it,
I
that
struggle
apartment too.
with any property owner. If they just willfully let it fall down is not a reason for us to say, let her stand it. I struggle with
I struggle.
letting somebody take down a contributing feature of the historic district. And Page already struggles.
Oh, it does.
Page Street already struggles, and there are people moving north on Page Street that are trying to do good work.
Like the guy we had here last week.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
that gentleman was really working hard, and he's gonna save windows, because
And he
gotta
had
do it.
us, we had to table his, he originally came and asked to demolish his garage, his barn as well. And he's gonna look into what it's gonna cost to potentially repair it. And his is in worse shape.
It
mean,
is
this one is-
landlocked, that's the other one, can't get up the sides. tear it
Right,
down.
he couldn't put anything else in.
Neighbor's
If he
property.
took it down, there's no space left.
Right.
Yeah, if you're talking 6 feet, you'd be.
I mean, truly, that barn is, it is not in good shape. When you drive around the back.
Yeah.
And look at how it's
Mhm.
fallen off, it's north sill and, oh, sure,
And then they condemn it.
he may condemn it if that's the case. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, that's a different story.
that's a different story.
Right.
But neglect,
Unfortunately.
The $30,000, I didn't even know if you could build a new one like that.
Oh,
You can hardly buy a
That's
shed from
like-
the owner.
You
Yeah.
at this point have built like $1,000.
I mean,
You could
so
build
you
a
look at
small one,
Well, our garage,
Yeah.
you could not build a
but not in that
two-story,
location.
two-story wood garage for 30 grand, forget it.
Yeah,
No, the 30 grand is actually not that bad.
It is, because when you just look at the price of everything.
But
Yeah.
when you're looking at buying someplace,
heck, put 75 grand in it, make it structurally sound, and put an apartment upstairs.
and put an apartment upstairs, there you go.
Come on, you know, you can make money off that.
Yeah.
Long term, I mean,
Or an in-law suite or something after, make it
well, not a.
usable, then you'd be like, wow.
Anyways,
You gotta have the
we are at 7:53, motion to adjourn.
so moved.
So moved. We're adjourned, let's adjourn.
Over now.
Thank you.
Over and out.
Good stuff.